In this tutorial video, we're going to be practicing the slope formula in preparation for how to partition a segment. So the slope formula. Let's first talk about just what slope is in general. So I'm going to sketch a little XY coordinate plane. X is horizontal, Y is vertical. And I'm going to sketch just a segment. Segment A, B. Sorry about that. Okay, so slope is the change in Y over the change in X. And I write this down every single time we do slope because it helps us stay organized in what we're doing. Slope formula reads y2 minus y1 equals or over x2 minus x1. So slope is a fraction. It's actually a ratio comparing the change in y and the change in x. When we're calculating slope, there are two different directions you can go. You can count. So if I want to count slope, what I would do if this is on a graph is I would count my boxes until I got to B. I would count up and to the right. If you're counting slope, remember, if you are counting up, that is a positive change in Y. If you are counting down, that's a negative change in Y. We're going through directions here. When you count to the right, that is a positive change in X because I'm traveling in the positive direction of a number line. If I'm counting to the right or to the left, that is a negative change in X. So remember, right is positive, left is negative. So the formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So let's practice using that formula. So we want to calculate the slope of AD when A is 9, negative 10, and D is 7, 15. So we're going to start by labeling x1, y1, x2, y2. Remember, when you're labeling your slope, the ones always go together and the twos always go together. The reason the ones go together is because the ones just mean first group. So x1, y1 is my first group of coordinates. X2, Y2 is my second group of coordinates. So I'm going to go ahead and write that formula down. It's really important. Every time you do slope, we use the letter M. The slope formula is Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. Now I'm going to simplify. So looking at my problem, my Y2 value is 15. I'm going to replace Y2 with 15. See, it's this pen bleeds. It does a little. There we go. Minus, my y1 value is negative 10. So minus negative 10. So here, I've taken my y1 value and I've plugged it in. We're going to do the exact same pattern, but we're going to do this pattern for x's now. X's go on the bottom. So x sub 2 is 7. Minus x sub 1, which is 9. So again, all I'm doing is I'm taking my x2 coordinate, I am plugging it into my equation. The more times you write a formula, the easier it is for you to understand what you're actually doing instead of trying to type it all in on your calculator. Calculators are great tools, but we want to make sure we're using them when necessary, and whenever we're using them, we have to make sure that we're plugging information into a formula. So we really just want to write this formula down. Once you plug it in, you are more than welcome to type that into your calculator. Definitely go for it. But take the time to do this step. It makes it a lot easier, and you make less mistakes if you actually have a formula to look at. So let's go ahead and simplify this. 15 minus negative 10 is technically just 15 plus 10. And then I'm going to bring down the 7 minus 9. Now, obviously, you can jump to this step when you're subbing in, but for the sake of the tutorial, I want to show you every single step in case you're getting lost somewhere. I'm keeping my answer as a fraction, so now I'm just going to simplify. 15 plus 10 is 25, and 7 minus 9 is negative 2. Negative 2 is my slope, so my change in y over my change in x. This basically means, okay, writing it in words is a huge, huge way to help you. If I have a positive 25 in my y, that means I go up 25 units. A negative 2 means left 2. So to help you, if you're struggling with slope, take the time to write down what slope means. So 25 over negative 2 translates to up 25, left 2. So that is my slope, 25 over negative 2. Let's try another one. So we want to calculate the slope of BC. So x1, y1, x2, y2. Again, I'm going to write that slope formula because it's really important. Taking the time to write the formula makes this easier to follow and easier to understand. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to take my y2 value, which is 9, minus my y1 value. So notice how it's negative 4. So I'm going to change my negative to a positive. 9 minus negative 4 is the same as 9 plus 4. My x2 value is 3 minus my x1 value, which is 0. 9 plus 4 is 13. 3 minus 0 is 3. So again, this is change in y, change in x. Using our terminology, a positive 13 means I go up 13 and right 3. Let's try one last one, and then I'm going to show you how to type it into your calculator, because having that skill is important. It's just as important as being able to type it into an equation. So we're going to practice typing this into the calculator just to make sure that we are really practicing correct parentheses and correct notation. So again, we're going to calculate the slope of AB. Here's value of A and B. So x1, y1, x2, y2. Again, I'm going to write my formula down because good mathematicians write their formulas, and you are definitely a good mathematician. So y2 is 79 minus y1 is 5 over x2 is 4 minus x1 is negative 13. So minus a negative makes it plus. 79 minus 5 is 74. Over 4 plus 13 is 17. My change in y over my change in x. In words, that becomes up 74 units and right 17 units. We want to make sure that we're not saying up and over. Over could mean left or right. So be specific, give quality instruction, and it'll help you understand what this means. So if I'm wanting to type this into my calculator, we're going to start with just this problem. And this is just a little extra piece of information because sometimes we make mistakes when it comes to typing things into our calculator. So calculators are wonderful, amazing tools, but they can also be your downfall if you don't pay attention to notation. Now, notation is very important in how to type it in. If you write the formula, the notation is a little bit easier in the calculator. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to type it in how you guys normally type formulas into your calculator. 79 minus 5 divided by 4 plus 13. I get 90.75. So math, enter, enter. I get 363 over 4. Well, looking at this answer, that is definitely not 74 over 17. Let's analyze what's been typed in the calculator. So minor mistakes. In your mind and in my mind, I know exactly what you intended to do. You intended for, okay, my calculator is going to subtract these, then divide after it's added. But the problem is that's not the order of operations. The order of operations is division before I add or subtract. So what your calculator has actually done is it did 5 divided by 4, and then it subtracted that from 79 and added 13. Your calculator is a great tool, but it's not as smart as you are. You have to tell it what to do. All it knows is the order of operations. So if we want to make sure that we subtract on top, you have to group it using the grouping symbol parentheses. So 79 minus 5. Then your calculator knows, oh, I should subtract. Then I'm going to divide once I add. Grouping these in parentheses ensures that your calculator subtracts and adds, then takes those answers and divides. Again, we get a decimal, but pressing the math button, remember math is located right after the alpha. I'm going to press math. Frac stands for fraction. Take my previous answer, make it a fraction. 74 over 17, which is exactly what we got when we did it by hand. So just be mindful, your calculator is smart, but it's not smarter than you. You have to actually tell it what to do. Grouping symbols matter.